Imagine this, you decide to start investing just $500 a month in your 20s. Fast forward 30 to 40 years from now, and that consistent habit could realistically turn into $1 million or more. Most people think building $1 million nest egg requires a six-figure income or a really nice degree or taking a very high amount of risk, but consistent small habits, time, and compound interest can get you there. So in this video, I'm going to break down the math, the timeline, and the potential pitfalls, as well as the mindset to make investing $500 per month a complete game changer for your financial future. So why $500 a month is a realistic and impactful amount is because basically $500 a month is $125 a week. Or let's annualize that. $500 a month is $6,000 a year. Now, if you're making even 60 or 70K a year, if you're living within your means, if you're living in an area that's maybe not a high cost of living, you could definitely invest $6,000 a year. I don't think that's extremely unrealistic, but I also want to make sure that I emphasize that it's not necessarily the $500 a month that matters, but it is just investing consistently over a long period of time that matters. And maybe you don't start out with $500 a month. Maybe you start out with $200 a month, and then you slowly work your way up to $400 and then $500. And that can be done by cutting your expenses, or maybe you work really hard and get a promotion at work, or maybe you find a side hustle that brings in an extra $100 to $200 a month. Anything you can do to increase your investing amount is only going to help you long term, especially if you start really early. And starting extremely early, like if you start investing at 20, 21, 22, 19 in your early 20s or late teens, you're going to be way ahead of everybody else, assuming that you're investing very smart. You're just buying an ETF or an index fund that tracks the market. What I mean by that is just investing into something like VTI or VOO. I just call it VOO. This is the total stock market index, or the S&P 500, which normally gets you an annual return of about 10% a year. And once you factor in inflation, that's typically more around 7 to 8%, because inflation tends to be between, I'd say, 2 to 3% most years. So let's start out by defining compound interest, and that is the eighth wonder of the world. The reason compound interest is so nice is because your initial investment is going to make you more and more money each year. So for example, let's pretend that you start out with $0, but your monthly contribution is $500 a month. And let's pretend that your annual interest rate is 8%, because like I said, we're going to do the 10%, we're going to subtract 2% for inflation, so let's do 8% a year. After the first year, we're going to assume that there's no growth, that you just are at $6,000, but in year two, you're contributing another $6,000, except this time you're getting 8% growth on the initial $6,000. So you've contributed $12,000, but your current value, your portfolio, is $12,480. And as you can see here, let's move over to year five. At that point, you would have contributed $30,000, but now your portfolio is at $35,000. And the longer that you let time play its part, like by the time we get to year 30, you would have contributed $180,000, but then your portfolio is worth $680,000. So it is now $500,000 larger than your contributions. And this gap between the value of your portfolio and your contributions only gets bigger and bigger over time, because it is the equivalent to rolling a snowball down a hill. Your initial investment is making you more money, and then that money that it grew to is going to make you even more money. And so just like I said, imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. That is the best visual I could give for it. By the time you're at year 40, you would literally have contributed $240,000, except the value of your portfolio is now at $1.5 million. So by literally contributing just $500 a month for 40 years at that 8% rate, you're getting over $1 million, which is just incredible. And in this scenario, we're assuming that you start at age 25 and you finish at, age 65. So there's your 40-year time horizon. But let's say you wait 10 years. Let's say instead of starting at 25, you start at 35. So instead of having that 40-year timeline, you only have a 30-year timeline. Well, and that puts you right back to that $680,000 mark. So the difference between starting at 25 versus starting at 35 is a massive amount of money. I mean, we're talking about the difference between $1.5 million and $680,000, which I don't know the math off the top of my head, but that is almost $1 million. I think it's like 900 something thousand, maybe 800 something thousand there. So the earlier you start, the better. Now let's pretend you actually start at age 20. So not only 40 years of time are you going to invest, but you're actually going to have 45 years. Then just adding that extra 5 years on the end, going from 40 years where you had 1.5 million to 45, you now have 2.3 million. Because you started 5 years earlier, you now have 800,000 more dollars in your pocket because of that. So that truly shows the value of starting early and why it's so important. Now that we've checked the math, let's talk about some actual steps you can do to get started on this. The first thing I want you to do is, if you work for a company that has a 401k, see if they have a match. A lot of companies you can contribute, let's say 6%, and they'll match half of that. That is free money right there. If you make, just for the sake of numbers, let's say you make $50K a year, and then 6% of that would be $3,000. So you would invest $3,000, but your company would give you $1,500. They would also put $1,500 into your 401k, which you can then go and invest. And like I said before, I just personally invest my 401k into the S&P 500. So if you could find something like that, that is perfect. But you don't want to leave that 401k match on the table. You definitely want to take advantage of that. The next thing I would try to do is open a Roth IRA. I personally use M1 Finance for my investments. It is very simplified. The reason you want a Roth IRA is because over time, you're probably expecting to move up in tax brackets as you get older. At least I think most of us definitely want to make more money by the time we're 40 compared to when we were 20. And the Roth IRA is super nice because you can invest $7,000 into it every single year. And that's probably going to go up as the future years go along. But as of right now, it's $7,000 a year. And the best thing about this is you can sell your investments in the Roth IRA later on when you go to retire. And again, you're not going to pay any taxes on it. But remember, you definitely want to deposit money and make sure you are also investing it. You can't just deposit the money and expect it to grow. It needs to be investing. So like I said, I would just buy something like VU or VTI. The next thing I would triple check is making sure that you can buy fractional shares with the company that you're investing through. So like I said, I'm using M1 Finance. That is the app as well as the website that I used for all my investing. And I can go buy fractional shares. So, for example, if the S&P 500 is, let's say, $500 a share for VU, I think it's a lot higher now. I think it's like $500 or $600. Instead of me having to save up $500 to buy one share, I could just put in $25 at a time. I mean, hell, even if you got to start with Robinhood, go ahead and do that. Just make sure that you can buy fractional shares because there are still some companies out there that don't let you do that. And in 2025, that concept of not being able to buy fractional shares is just ridiculous. You shouldn't have to save up $500, $600, $700 just to own one share of something, especially when you can just throw in 25, 50 bucks here and there. And then over time, you'll go from owning 0.1 shares to 0.5 to 0.8. Before you know it, you'll own one share. And so fractional shares is definitely something you want to look into and make sure you have. The next thing I'd recommend is just starting out with what you can afford. Even if $500 a month feels pretty high, just start with $200 or $300 and try to increase that over time as your income grows. The most important part is consistency and building the habit. Because when I first started investing, this was during COVID in 2020. I remember I was only investing, I think like $100 or $200 a week. And if you're doing like, let's say $200 a week, that's the same thing as about $10,000 a year. Now I'm at a point where I'm investing over $30,000 a year. So it definitely can go up over time, like I said, as your income grows. And the main thing you want to try to avoid here is lifestyle inflation. If you get a $20,000 raise at your job or you get promoted, and let's say you make $20K more a year, don't go and spend $20K more. Maybe spend $1 or $2K if you can, but try to minimize lifestyle inflation. As you make more money, try not to spend a lot more money. Try to keep your expenses as flat as possible. This is a lot easier said than done, and I myself even struggle with this. And then the last step I can give you, and this is going to actually be the hardest part, is do not touch it. Leave it alone. Just keep investing, whether you have a good year or a bad year in the market, because over a long period of time, you're going to do very well. Whether the market drops 10%, 20%, or even 30+% in a single year, if you can invest while the market is going up, as well as while the market is going down, then over a long period of time, you're just dollar cost averaging and you will turn out very, very well. Do not try to time the market because time in the market beats timing the market. So that is how you are going to get started and some steps you want to take to begin this journey because it can be very satisfying. Now, some common challenges that you might face and how to overcome these. One of the first ones is that you probably feel like you may not make enough money right now. One strategy you can do with this is trying to take on a side hustle or find where you can reduce unnecessary spending or reallocate maybe some of your budget so you use maybe a little bit less fun money, or maybe you're spending money on something right now you could cut back on and then just basically invest that money instead. Try to treat this like a non-negotiable because like I said, the difference between starting at 20 versus 25 versus 35 is a huge difference. The easiest thing you can start out doing today is looking at your expenses and seeing where you can reduce them. Another challenge that you may get is the market volatility might freak you out and stress you out. Let me reassure you that market dips are normal, they're expected, and when you have decades ahead, dips are just great opportunities to be lowering your average costs. And even if you go look at dips that we've had historically, they look very small. Like if you go look at the 2008 crash, that was a massive thing that happened. I mean, a lot of people lost jobs, the stock market tanked, the housing market tanked. Now, if you go look at that on the S&P 500, that is just like a little blip. Like that is tiny. You don't even notice it. And why is that? Because time has played out since then. And the market will always go on more bull runs than it does bear runs. And a bull run is just the market going up. A bear is when the market just tanks. That's all I mean by that. The next thing that you may find difficult is you feel like you're starting too late. And to be honest, you are not starting too late. The best time to start is today, and the next best time is tomorrow. tomorrow. So just remember that even if you are in your late 20s or 30s right now, it's definitely better to start as soon as possible than to keep waiting and delaying it. And then finally, you may not know where to invest. Like I said, I would just buy index funds and ETFs, like just buy VU or VTI. You can honestly put all your money into that. Like when you're buying VU, you're buying the 500 largest companies in the US. So over a long period of time, even if the top 10 companies today are a lot different than the top 10 companies a decade from now, it won't really matter because VU will be weighting it accordingly. It's a very passive way of investing and it's going to make you a lot of money. Let's just be real. The S&P 500 has never had a negative 20-year return. And so hopefully that helps you sleep at night. Now, the next thing I want you to do is imagine being in your 50s or 60s and you have this massive nest egg built up from decades of consistent investing. The freedom that you are going to get from this is incredible, whether it's an early retirement, financial flexibility, maybe you get a lot of passive income to supplement or potentially replace your 9 to 5, or you can invest that money into other ventures. You could start a business. The capital basically becomes your option generating machine, which is a very freeing thing. So in summary, and the main takeaways here is that $500 a month investing consistently can make you so much money, especially when you start out very early. The earlier you start, the more potential it has later on because you're giving yourself decades of growth and just letting that snowball just roll down the hill and do its own thing. And the more money you contribute, the larger the snowball is going to get. And always remember that compounding and time are your friends. As well as when it comes to getting started, I feel like there's no excuse. As long as you have a phone, you could literally download an app today and start investing when the market opens on Monday and just buy an ETF and consistently buy one. And although it may seem boring over a long period of time, this will make you a lot of money. So how much money are you investing every month right now? Comment down below. I'd love to hear. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.